See, I just muted you. Now mute. Unmuted. Now muted.
Hold Alt A and unmute.
Control V. See, this is why we
You're
need
still
mice.
unmuted. Hang on.
I'm not.
I just.
Oh, Alt A toggle. Good evening. We're just getting a couple things squared away, and so we will be up and running here in about 5 minutes. We'll start our meeting. republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to, do we have roll call done? Yes, okay. Item 4, welcome introduction of guests. We have no guests this evening. Consent agenda.
I move the consent agenda.
It's been moved by Tim and seconded by Kelly to approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We do have a citizen's comment on file. We have 2 citizen comments on file. You all have copies of them.
Quick question for you, if I may. Going back into the consent agenda, which the consent agenda technically includes those donations, but I was hoping that we could at least announce the donations which have been received prior to moving on.
We can do that. Aaron?
Yep, so we have the donation, I have
In front of me is the schoolhouse supplies, the 18 boxes of school supplies,
value
$300.
And then we'll
I have 2 grants.
later on.
Thank you.
Okay. So, do I say who this is from?
So the way that we do citizen comments is they've been logged. You guys have access to them. They'll become live on the district on the agenda. I believe after this meeting is when they become live. So they'll log in. And I've asked
both those folks
just making sure that when they emailed me something that they did want it as part of public record, they both did. So
we'll move forward.
Okay, item number 7 is reports, and we have no reports this evening. So item 8 is action items. Number 1, personnel.
Yep, we have 1 resignation, as you can see, Jennifer
Stacy.
And grants.
Uh,
I think we need to do the motion.
Oh, sorry.
Madam Chairman, I move to accept the resignation of Ms. Stacy as presented.
Okay, it's been moved by Don and seconded by Kelly to approve the resignation. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Grants.
Grant, no, we have it temporarily
Covered.
and then we have an opening.
So we opened
we put an opening on
Friday, Thursday or Friday for a full time. And we
had the applicants
already applied. So, yep. So grants, we have 2 grants. Both of them we're really lucky to get. The first one's the State of Oregon Peak.
Career hiring grant, and
That's
that's
around elementary PE and increasing time for that.
that's one we've seen almost annually.
I think 5 years now maybe that we've gotten that grant. So that grant will go out to Ferndale to help the salary for that PE teacher. And then the second grant is Milton-Freewater Area Foundation grant. And congratulate our band.
Came with a need, and we were able to find a grant. And
Really appreciative
of the Milton-Freewater Area Foundation
and
and
the
dollars
dollars
that
that they put forward.
This will go to
Drumline equipment.
So
I think we're looking for some parades and we're looking maybe for some football games,
things like that, and really professional equipment
that has
the
a mask on it.
It's
It's a great deal for the program.
I move to accept the grants as presented.
It's been moved by Tim and seconded by Kathy to accept the grants as presented.
Or just a single grant?
2.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the bid for the HVAC unit.
Yeah, so like we've talked about
For a couple months now,
we have been
been
working
on the HVAC at the quad at the high school. That system was one of the only ones that did get upgraded when we were able to do the bond work.
but we
Identified that while we were doing the bond work that needed help. This year, we've been able to put it to the front of the line.
Craig went through and did bidding processes
for both the electrical work and the HVAC work, and we have bids in each area.
and we were able to come up with Thews, and then I believe it's Gordon's Electric that were the winning bids.
So that price is reflected in the bid.
Are there any questions?
I move to approve the bid for the new HVAC unit for the quad at Mackay as presented.
It's been moved by Kelly and seconded by Tim to approve the bids for the Mackay HVAC system. Are there any other further questions?
Just for clarification, Gordon, which ones again, because you have multiples, if you're on the electric, which ones?
Yeah, we wanted to
Show you guys the bids on them, but I believe it's Gordon's was the low bid, and then Thews was the HVAC low bid. Yes, sir.
So the low bidders were Gordon and Thews on those. And any other further questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on down to item number 4, which is surplus equipment.
This is our bus that is going away, and then we'll be replacing it with our grant. This is the bus that the engine will have a hole drilled in it or something, and it'll be gone. So
Yeah. So I know Doug has
been working with the process as far as how to document it and who will take it and go through that.
When my kids started going here, that was the bus to get.
I bet.
I bet.
Madam Chairman, I move to designate bus number 4 as surplus.
Okay,
Second.
it's been moved by Tim and seconded by Don to surplus bus number 4. Any further questions? Hearing none, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Next is second reading of board policies. Do we have any questions on those board policies?
I move to accept the board policies, second reading as presented.
It's been moved by Don and seconded by Claudia to approve the second reading of the board policies as presented. Oh, was it Kathy? Okay, sorry, it's hard to hear you guys down there. That was seconded by Kathy. Any further questions? Hearing none, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We're going to move on down to item number 9, the superintendent's report, starting with item number 1.
So let's start with item number 1.
Okay.
So I will say that we are looking into some other equipment for board meetings coming up into the future with mics and things that we can make it a little bit easier on ourselves. I wanted to start off by saying the community of Milton-Freewater is truly lucky to have a group like you, volunteers that volunteer your time. And we appreciate your time and recognize that you give up a lot of time for this organization and really, truly appreciate it. So on behalf of Milton-Freewater, thank you for everything that you do as board members. So then go into the next couple things. Okay, well, we're working on a little bit of that echoing. So next thing, if we go through and talk about staffing, like we talked about, we do have an opening for a third grade teacher position. We also have an opening for a lead custodian at Gibb. Those are open and will close here in the next week or so. And we've already received applicants in both. Just to update you also kind of on staffing, we did have some staff meet the qualifications for the COVID vaccine as per Umatilla County Health, UCO Health. That started actually last Thursday. And just I've been a part of county-wide health conversations regarding vaccination. There's a plan in place to offer the vaccine when it's available to those that want it.
Which at this point it no longer is.
Right, there's none left that they have as of Saturday. So it's not a requirement for employment in the district. I've also been asked if we're going to require that of students. The answer is no. The vaccine, to my knowledge, is not even available to kids under 18, but the answer to that's no. I will share that Umatilla County, their planning in between their hospitals and Umatilla County Health seems to be light years ahead of several others in the state. We are moving forward. There's some other counties in the area that are moving forward, but they have plans in place ready to go. Once all they're waiting on is the vaccine, and they now have the capability to have both vaccines in the county with one of the coolers. But that's where we're sitting. Umatilla County Health has their plan. We've made it clear that our facilities are available to them, and we'll kind of go from there. Enrollment is at 1662 as of Friday. And that does include students that are in the Milton-Freewater Academy. Just those in-house, we're hovering at the 1621. That number seems to be staying pretty steady. And we're gonna see how that goes here after the semester change. So the big news has been an update on state happenings. The governor's announcement during Christmas break was moving the ODE Safe Schools, Safe Learners from required to guidance. At the same time, COVID liability for school districts, ESDs, and community colleges was passed by the legislature. The liability waiver is dependent on the district following the guidance from ODE. One of the many questions anytime something happens, especially at the state level, is if you do this, then this happens, and then this happens. The question that's been asked is if the metrics and some of the other items in that guidance are required for school districts to follow in order to keep their liability waiver from the state. And we do not want to lose that liability waiver from the state. And so that information is still forthcoming. I was involved in meetings I feel like all of last week, and I feel like it's going to be some of this week. ODE has announced that it will have an update to the guidance January 19th. That update could have significant impacts on plans that districts are working on. So Colt Gill, the director of ODE, state superintendent, has recommended that districts make plans but not implement them until after they have unpacked and updated the guidance on the 19th. I was talking to a parent today, and so she was rightfully, she's like, so on the 19th, we're gonna know. I said, well, right now it's something like a 135-page document. I don't know if it's gonna be released at 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. So I don't know, but I do know that the moment that it is released, we'll be looking through it. To ODE's credit, when they have updated their guidance, they've done a good job in the first couple pages to list the updates that they've done so that you don't have to look like word by word by word by combing it. So we'll be looking through that guidance when it is released on the 19th. I was a part of state and regional meetings last week, and we have them scheduled this week, and then we have them scheduled after the 19th to help unpack that. So we as a district are working on the following. I think that we're ahead of many other districts in that we've kept up on protective equipment for both teachers and students. We've kept our orders up. That means increased orders of supplies. We're making orders based on needs for the rest of the school year. We make decisions based on if the item has a shelf life. So, you know, if it has a shelf life, then we're less likely to have a huge stockpile, but if it doesn't, then we have more. An example of that is we've been changing filters more regularly. And usually we have one set of filters on hand, just a spare set. And now we have 2 sets because we're always going to need them. That way, in case we can't get a set, we're good to go. We're also looking at signage and procedures in buildings for both staff and students to make sure they're up to guidelines. Today, limited in-person instruction restarted as per ODE guidance and approval by Umatilla County Health. They gave us the green light for that. So that falls under the guidance through ODE. So we're liability insurance and things like that. It's a very specific group of students that come in. Same students that we had in the fall. We also restarted preschool today. So I know that that was very beneficial to some parents, as long as with some staff that were really excited to see some kids come. It's a good first step for both staff and students. We will have success in the fall, and I believe we'll have success as we move forward. So what's happened in the last week, while sometimes it looks like things are going idle, admin worked on initial plans that were made So we'll now work with district-wide committee and individual building committees on updating plans. These plans will not really have dates at this point until we get past that January 19th and find more of the guidelines. But we're going to work to refine those plans and move forward. I think that we have ways of making small steps, building on success, and moving through this entire process with our staff, our parents, our community, the entire piece. After that update from the 19th, I think we'll really have some ideas and plans. What I would suggest to you is that we don't need to pick a date this evening, but what I would suggest is start thinking about having a special board meeting after the 19th. I say after the 19th because depending upon what comes out on the 19th and the time of day, we may need, you know, it's hard to say, hey, let's meet on the 20th. If there's 50 things that totally change everything, we're going to need some time. So, you know, right now, I think we could look at a tentative date of the 21st, which is Thursday of that week. We can always change that date. We'll go through and make sure public is informed. That also gives parents and other community folks and teachers and staff time to kind of digest information and voice opinions. But that would be a suggestion I would have for the board, and we can, you know, kind of talk about that as we move forward. I have a facilities update, but I wanted to pause right there and answer any questions that I haven't covered. Claudia?
I guess more than anything, this isn't a question, it's more like a comment, because I can understand how parents are frustrated with the limited information, and it seems like, okay, once the governor issued her last statement, it's like, oh, okay, we're on a go, let's go. And then now we're like, wait, no, just kidding, we're not, you know, we're waiting again. But I do want to stress that, like, I know that the staff at school is working, the admin teams and the teams at the schools, like individual schools, are working at being ready to go once we do get that green light. I know it's hard for us as parents to see that because we don't see all the work that you guys are doing. We don't see the hours, ideas, the, stressful conversations you have to do, the creativity that's being shared. So I just want to thank you guys for working on that, even though I know as a public and as a parent myself, it's frustrating when you feel like you don't know what's happening next. And it's hard for an admin team to share that because they don't know what's happening next. So I want everybody to kind of take that with, for what it is. There's so many balls in the air that we don't know what to do. And so hopefully after the 19th, we'll have a little bit more clarity and we'll have a better plan of action to introduce to everybody so everybody feels like they're all in the same loop. Because if we were to present plans right now, they change after the 19th. So then it's, again, we're going through that whole system one more time. So that's not, I think it's prudent the way that we're handling it as far as, taking it slow and trying to be as successful as possible for our community.
I think, yeah, I've had actually several conversations today and Friday with parents, and very positive conversations. Frustration for sure. And I share with them that I've got quite a bit of frustration. I think we're all frustrated, I mean, let's just be point blank about that. This is a frustrating experience. And I appreciate parents that are very concerned. Every parent that I have talked to since March, this entire process, they want the best for their kid. Nobody knows what the best thing is for your kid. We're all trying to do the best that we can. I would say we're working towards, I think, a goal of having kids back in the classroom, and there's all these moving points and things can change, but I appreciate that, Claudia. I do think that we're moving forward, and I think sometimes it's not always seen, but oftentimes that, there's a lot going on, but we don't want to cause undue harm as well.
Well, I also want to say that I feel like once we get the clarification, we're going to hit the ground running because of all this work that's been done behind the scenes. We're not going to start then to plan. It's let's tweak our plans, let's modify what we already have so we can get whatever it is we can do going and present it to the board and get these kind of things happening. So I'm really excited to see what happens after the 19th.
The other thing I'd say is, and I've told parents this, and I've told staff this, and I kind of tell everybody, unfortunately, this is going to be one of these situations that not everybody's going to be happy. And we're gonna need to work together as much as we can to make this work for everybody. I talked to a parent on Friday that said, listen, I've got an elderly mom I really can't have. And I said, well, that's part of what this is. And we're trying to balance that, that some kids are going to need to stay home and some kids we've got to get back in the classroom. And so trying to find that balance, but we'll meet in the middle. So
why don't we also add that this is also being like we're the staff is looking at this with an equity lens because we want to make sure that every student has the same access to whatever it is that we're able to provide, and that barriers such as transportation or whatnot are taken into consideration so that everybody can be as successful as possible.
So what we did, Claudia, last week is the admin kind of went through, like I talked about. The plan for this week is Wednesday, the district committee of staff come together and we talk about changes that have happened in between, this summer and now, start those building conversations. We were thinking of doing them last week, but we also were starting limited in person this week. We were getting some more information, so we wanted to wait till we had more solid information. And then after that district-wide committee meets, then it'll go to the building committees and they'll meet and have conversations and move forward.
Are there any more questions?
I have just a facilities update. I just wanted to let you know, you approved the HVAC update this evening. That's great. That work will start literally tomorrow with permitting and ordering of equipment. I'm really excited about that. I know several teachers that are going to be overjoyed about that. I also wanted to update you that the flooring began putting down in the home ec room there at Mackay today. I appreciate Mrs. Goodyear has worked with Craig Gaines and Mike Shelton and Mario and Jay on what this plan looked like to revamp that room. It's exciting, to be honest. And so I've had Craig take some pictures as we've moved along this. And so at the next time we've got a board meeting, when it starts getting completed, I'm going to show some of those and really show that progression. It's going to be something that will last 100 years.
That's about how long it would be before we put it.
Yep.
It's been my mantra
For about 5 or 6 years. If we're going to do it, we got to build it for 100 because that's what we do.
That's right.
Well, maybe not. We'll see.
So any more questions for Aaron on stuff? I do want to say, Aaron, I do appreciate everything you've done over the last few weeks and few months, and being flexible, and I think you're doing a good job handling all the changes that's been happening. Seems like at least daily, if not more. So.
Well, I appreciate it, but I would say that I've got a great administrative team, and I've got a great staff, teaching staff. We're all educators, you know, doesn't matter what our role in the district is, we're all educators, and it's enjoyable to work here every day, and it becomes more enjoyable every time I'm part of a statewide meeting. I hear what the others are doing, and we may not agree on things, but we have kids at the forefront of our thoughts, and that's been evident this entire time. I appreciate that. The only other item I have is budget committee members.
We're going through those, and I'll bring another list to you
in February. At that time, we'll also make some motions to move the budget season through. Denise, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think at that time, we'll also start talking about the audit.
And which is a good audit, I'll say that. But I think you've been handed the audit document, and then we'll go through and do some more refinement on that in February.
Whole month to study it.
I did take the time to look at all the findings and stuff. Very positive.
Okay, so moving on to item number 10, new business, superintendent evaluation.
Yes, so I will over probably the next 2 weeks, I will come up with a document similar to what I did last year, where it'll be folders for each area of the evaluation and evidence of each of those areas, my self-evaluation and critique in each of those areas. And then I'll have Janet send it to you, and then we can go through that process in February.
Okay. Item number 11, board requests and reports. Does anybody have any requests?
I do not.
Okay. Okay, hearing none, the meeting's adjourned. Thank you all for coming.